When millionaire Robert Harrison calls to scold a missing job applicant, a 7-year-old girl answers instead. "Mommy can't come to the phone," she whispers. She's been sleeping at the hospital for 2 days. What Emma says next will change his life forever. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. Robert Harrison sat in his luxurious office on the 40th floor, watching the city lights twinkle below. At 52 he had built an empire from nothing. His technology company employed thousands, and his wealth could buy anything money could touch. Yet tonight, like every night for the past 3 years, he felt completely empty. The mahogany desk before him held a stack of resumes. Tomorrow's interviews would determine who would join his executive team. One name caught his attention. Sarah Mitchell, 28, single mother, MBA from State University. Her qualifications were impressive, but what struck him was a handwritten note at the bottom of her application. "I'm not just looking for a job. I'm fighting for my daughter's future." Robert smiled slightly. In a world of polished corporate speak, her honesty was refreshing. He had scheduled her interview for 9 a.m. sharp. The next morning Robert waited in the conference room. 9 a.m. came and went. Then 9:15. By 9:30 he was irritated. By 10 a.m. he was furious. How dare someone waste his time? He had built his success on punctuality and respect for others' time. "Cancel all her references," he told his assistant, Margaret. "If she can't show up for an interview, she doesn't deserve consideration." But something nagged at him. The note. The desperation he had sensed in her words. Against his better judgment, he decided to call her. He dialed the number from her application. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Finally, a small voice answered. "Hello." Robert paused. This wasn't the professional voice he expected. "Is this Sarah Mitchell?" "No, sir. Mommy's not here." "A child." Robert's irritation melted into confusion. "Oh, I'm sorry. I must have the wrong number. I was trying to reach Sarah Mitchell about a job interview." "That's my mommy," the little voice said excitedly. "But she can't come to the phone right now." "Is she busy? This is quite important." There was a pause. When the child spoke again, her voice was smaller, sadder. "Mommy's at the hospital. She's been sleeping for 2 days now, and the doctors say she might not wake up." Robert's hand tightened on the phone. "What happened to your mother?" "She was walking to the store to buy me new shoes for school and a car hit her. The police said the driver was drunk." The little girl's voice cracked. "Mommy was so excited about her interview today. She stayed up all night making sure her dress was perfect. She said this job would change our lives." Robert felt his chest tighten. "Sweetheart, what's your name?" "Emma. Emma Mitchell. I'm 7 years old." "Emma, where are you right now? Are you alone?" "I'm at the hospital with Grandma Rose. She's sleeping in the chair next to Mommy's bed. Grandma Rose is really old and she gets tired a lot." "Emma, I'm the man your mother was supposed to meet today. My name is Robert. I own the company where she wanted to work." "Really?" Emma's voice brightened slightly. "Mommy talked about you all the time. She said you were very important and that you started with nothing, just like us. She said you would understand what it's like to be poor." Robert's throat felt thick. "What else did she say about me?" "She said you were probably lonely too, even though you have lots of money. She said rich people sometimes forget how to be happy, and that maybe if she worked for you she could help you remember." The words hit Robert like a physical blow. Sarah Mitchell, a woman he had never met, had seen through his wealth to the loneliness he tried so hard to hide. "Emma, what hospital are you at?" "St. Mary's. Room 314. "But sir, we don't have insurance and the doctors say the bill will be really big. Grandma Rose is crying because she doesn't know how we'll pay for it." Robert was already reaching for his coat. "Emma, I'm coming to see you and your mother. Don't worry about the money, okay?" "You're coming here? But why?" "Mommy missed the interview." "Because, Emma, sometimes the most important meetings happen when we least expect them." 30 minutes later, Robert stood outside room 314. Through the glass, he could see an elderly woman asleep in a chair and a small girl with brown curls sitting beside a hospital bed, holding the hand of an unconscious woman. He knocked softly and entered. Emma looked up with wide brown eyes that held too much sadness for a 7-year-old. "Are you Mr. Robert?" "Yes, Emma. I am." She stood up and walked to him with surprising composure. "Thank you for coming. Mommy would be so happy to know you're here." Robert looked at Sarah Mitchell. Even unconscious, with bruises on her face and machines beeping around her, he could see the determination in her features. Her application photo hadn't done her justice. "Tell me about your mother, Emma." Emma climbed back into her chair and took her mother's hand again. Mommy works 3 jobs to take care of me and Grandma Rose. She cleans offices at night, works at a grocery store during the day and does people's taxes from home. She's always tired but she never complains. What about your father? Emma's face fell. Daddy left when I was little. He said taking care of a sick baby was too hard. You were sick. I had cancer when I was 4. That's why we have so many medical bills. Mommy sold everything we had to pay for my treatment. She even sold her wedding ring. Emma touched a simple chain around her neck with a small pendant. This is all she kept. She gave it to me and said it would keep me safe. Robert's eyes filled with tears he hadn't shed in years. What did the doctors say about your mother's condition? They said she has something called a traumatic brain injury. They need to do surgery but it costs $200,000. Grandma Rose called all our relatives, but nobody has that kind of money. The elderly woman stirred in her chair. She opened tired eyes and looked at Robert with confusion. Grandma Rose, this is Mr. Robert. He's the man Mommy was supposed to meet today. Rose struggled to sit up. Oh sir, I'm so sorry. Sarah was so excited about this opportunity. She's been preparing for weeks. Please don't apologize. I'm here because I want to help. Robert pulled out his phone and called his lawyer. I need you to contact St. Mary's Hospital immediately. I want to cover all medical expenses for Sarah Mitchell in room 314. Yes, everything. And I want the best neurosurgeon in the city brought in for consultation. Emma's eyes widened. You're going to help Mommy? Yes, Emma. I am. But why? You don't even know us. Robert knelt down so he was eye level with the little girl. Because your mother saw something in me that I had forgotten existed. She saw that I was lonely even when I couldn't see it myself. And because you, Emma, have shown me what real courage looks like. Over the next week, Robert visited the hospital every day. He brought Emma books, toys, and her favorite ice cream. He hired a private nurse for Rose, whose arthritis made it difficult for her to care for herself. Most importantly, he arranged for the best medical team in the country to treat Sarah. On the 5th day, Sarah's eyes fluttered open. Mommy? Emma cried, jumping up from her chair. Sarah looked around confused, then focused on her daughter. Emma? What happened? Why am I in the hospital? You had an accident, Mommy. But don't worry, Mr. Robert is taking care of everything. Sarah's eyes moved to Robert, who was standing quietly in the corner. I missed the interview. I'm so sorry. Robert stepped forward. Sarah, you didn't miss anything important. In fact, you've already got the job. I don't understand. Your daughter conducted the most important interview of my life. She told me about a woman who works 3 jobs to support her family, who sold everything she owned to save her child's life, and who somehow still has room in her heart to worry about whether her potential boss might be lonely. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Emma told you that? She told me a lot of things. She told me about courage, about sacrifice, about love. Things I had forgotten in my climb to success. Over the following weeks, as Sarah recovered, Robert learned the full extent of her story. She had been a promising business student when she met Emma's father. When Emma was born, she dropped out to care for her. When Emma got sick, she sold everything and took multiple jobs to pay for treatment. When Emma's father left, saying he couldn't handle the stress, Sarah never once considered giving up. How do you do it? Robert asked one day as they sat in the hospital cafeteria. How do you stay so positive when everything seems to be falling apart? Sarah smiled, watching Emma play with other children in the hospital playground through the window. I learned something when Emma was sick. The doctors gave her a 30% chance of survival. I could focus on the 70% chance we'd lose her, or I could focus on the 30% chance we'd win. I chose to fight for the 30%. It's not about ignoring the bad things, Mr. Robert. It's about choosing to believe that good things are still possible. Robert felt something shift inside his chest. I haven't felt hopeful about anything in years. Maybe that's because you've been focusing on what you don't have instead of what you do have. What do I have? Money? Success? Those things haven't made me happy. Sarah was quiet for a moment. You have the power to change lives. You have the ability to make a difference. You have a chance to create a family. A family? Emma talks about you all the time. She says you're the nicest man she's ever met, besides her grandpa who died last year. She asked me yesterday if you might want to be her daddy. Robert's breath caught. What did you tell her? I told her that some people come into our lives for a reason, and that maybe you needed us as much as we needed you. 6 months later, Robert stood in the same hospital room where he had first met Emma. But today, it was decorated with flowers and white ribbons. Sarah, radiant in a simple white dress, stood beside him as they exchanged vows. Emma, wearing a pink dress and carrying a bouquet of daisies, stood as their witness. Rose, healthier now thanks to the medical care Robert had provided, wiped tears from her eyes. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the minister said. As Robert kissed his new wife, Emma ran to them and wrapped her arms around both their legs. "Now we're a real family," she said. Robert picked up Emma and held her close. "We've been a real family since the day I met you, princess." That evening at their reception in Robert's home, Emma tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy Robert?" "Yes, sweetheart. I have something to tell you." Robert knelt down. "What is it?" Emma looked serious. "The day you called when Mommy was hurt, I prayed for a miracle. I asked God to send someone to help us. And then you came." "Emma, I'm not a miracle. I'm just a man who learned what really matters." Emma shook her head. "No, Daddy Robert. You're wrong. You're not just a man. You're my daddy and Mommy's husband and Grandma Rose's hero. You're our miracle." Robert pulled Emma into his arms as Sarah joined them. For the first time in years he felt complete. "You know what, Emma? You're right. But you're my miracle too. All of you are." As the evening wound down, Robert stood on his balcony, looking out at the city lights. But tonight they didn't seem cold and distant. Tonight they looked like possibilities. Sarah joined him, slipping her hand into his. "Any regrets?" she asked. Robert thought about his old life, the loneliness, the emptiness that money couldn't fill. Then he thought about Emma's laughter, Sarah's strength, and the family they had built together. "Only one," he said. Sarah looked concerned. "What's that?" "I regret that it took me so long to find you." Sarah smiled and leaned against him. "Maybe we found each other exactly when we were supposed to." From inside the house, they could hear Emma reading a bedtime story to Rose, her voice full of joy and confidence. The little girl who had answered the phone that day, broken and scared, had become a bright, happy child surrounded by love. Robert realized that the call he had made in anger, intending to scold a missing job applicant, had become the most important phone call of his life. It had connected him not just to Sarah, but to the family he never knew he was missing. Sometimes the most important meetings happen when we least expect them. Sometimes the most profound changes come from the smallest voices. And sometimes, what we mistake for a missed opportunity is actually the beginning of our greatest blessing. As Robert held his wife and listened to his daughter's voice, he knew that true wealth wasn't measured in dollars, but in the love of family, the joy of belonging, and the peace of knowing that you are exactly where you're meant to be. The little girl who had answered the phone that day had indeed brought him to tears. But they were tears of joy, gratitude, and love, emotions that all his money had never been able to buy, but that one phone call had given him for free.